only people that hate you hate your vulnerability.
Oh, yeah.
You understand? Or jealous.
You catch a lot of shit for your vulnerability.
Oh, yeah.
Online, on social.
There was a time, oh my God, when I came forward about Adam Bennett molesting me, my agent.
Yeah.
You got to understand. Everybody's like, that's big ass Terry Crews. He could have just knocked him out with one swing. And what is he talking about? What is he in the Me Too movement for? This is some bullshit. You know how many times I heard that from big people? Like, what are you talking about? Why are you trying to join these women? What are you doing? And I was like, dude, but so you understand, I'd already been through all this stuff. And I was like, no. No. I was like, because William Morris told me, hey man, he's a partner. You got to accept it. I said, no. And remember how I went public about my own pornography? I said, hey, guess what? All these women that are you saying deserved it and that's their way into Hollywood and they probably asked for it and the whole thing, it happened to me too. So how do you explain this? And what people didn't understand is that if you were telling, you don't get any money. That's you only get paid for silence.
Yeah. It didn't benefit you one bit.
Non-disclosure is you sign that, that's when you get the check for not saying. But once the women came out, you didn't get any money. I wasn't getting anything. It was like, yo, you can't treat people like this. Just the agent at my agency who grabs me in front of my wife and my family, in front of, and I'm in a whole room full of white people. And I wanted to knock him in his, I was going to put my fist through his head. But everything in me was like, you are better than this. You don't have to do this. You have choices now. Whereas before, it's just, I'm a man, I got to react, I got to beat you up. But my vulnerability is my strength now. So I don't have to beat anybody up. Nope. In fact, we're just going to go home. And I confronted and talked to everybody and the whole thing. And they all told me that we're taking this very seriously. And nothing happened. And I went almost a year. And I was like, anything going to happen? And finally, when I came out, you got to understand, when I did the tweets about it, I didn't even mention his name. The agency calls me like a couple hours after the tweets went out when I tweeted about this stuff. And it took over. It was another one of those, whoa, Terry Crews. And Hollywood was like, what are we going to do with this guy? Like I would walk in a room and half the room would run. And the other room, half of the room would run to me. And people were like, dude, men, women, that happened to me, man. That's me. This happened to me. And I was like, damn it. See, this is the game that if we don't start talking for real, why are we lying? Why? Let's talk about it. And finally, because they would not admit their guilt, I had to go public.
Yeah.
And they exposed the guy because they felt they were going to get ahead of it and the whole thing. I never said his name, but they went in, did all this stuff. And I said, dude, what are you going to do about the predator you got in your hallways, man? I said, dude, you can't treat the clients like this. I've given you millions of dollars. I can't go to Bonds and get fondled by the guy bagging my groceries. He gets fired. They were like, it's different. So how is that different? And you know what he said? Well, shoot your best shot, buddy. He looked at me and told me that. I said, holy shit.
Whoa.
I said, okay, you the agency, right? You work for me, right? No. He literally like, no, I leverage you. Goodbye. Huh? What? Okay. Got it. And I said, I will spend $1 million to win $1. After he let me know. He was like, let's war. Let's go. I said, okay. And I went on a whole time. I went on every talk show and everywhere. I spent my own money. I got up to $500,000 of my own money. Now, How many young girls coming into Hollywood get molested, have that kind of money to battle this kind of stuff? They know they don't. But I said, you know what? And let me tell you who really, really fueled me. It's my wife. My wife said, Terry, ain't a woman in your life ain't been through that shit. Let me tell you what you need to do. And I was like, she was like, I remember getting messed with when I was a kid and everything. And she said, Terry, let's fight this together. I said, I'm with you. I said, you down with it? She said, I'm down.
That's amazing.
100%.
Yeah.
Because
did you file a lawsuit or a civil suit?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried to get the DA, and they were like, no, we're not going to touch it. So I filed a civil suit, got to $500,000. But then all of a sudden, all these people came out of the woodwork. Because you don't rob the biggest bank in the world on the first try. Okay, so he was like, I never know, this is not me. And all these people came and joined my case. All of a sudden, they were like, we got to let him go, and we're going to give you your money back. I was like, thank you. Thank you. Because you can't molest the clients and continue to work. It just doesn't work.
God, good for you. God damn.
But yeah.
That's a story.
It was crazy. It was crazy. You understand, the world was like, what? I thought I was never going to work again.
Yeah.
And I was doing Brooklyn Nine-Nine at the time. Dude, when the tweets went out, I was on set, and people were like, looking at their phones like, yeah. And it was like,
camera.
And that's back when Twitter was really about it.
Yeah.
Trending and,
you know
what I mean? It was hot. It was like, what? And people were like, and I was like, okay, let's finish the scene. And I was like, uh-oh. And I came home. I said, I don't think we're going to be working anymore. I fully expected to get fired. Just like the Old Spice stuff. And they were like, no. And all the people on the set, Sandberg, to the producers, Dan Gore, Mike Shore, they were like, dude, we're with you, man.
That's
that
great.
felt so good, dude.
Yeah.
My castmates were like, man, somebody has to stand up.
Yeah.
And I was like, see, and that was the thing. And I remember, man, your friends don't mind you being vulnerable. Go back to, but it was
you caught a lot of
rap stars. I called out, I remember Russell Simmons was like, hey, man, get an agent a pass. I was like, what the hell? Nobody gets a pass, man. What are you talking about? It's because you hanging with all these guys anyway. And lo and behold, he's over there. He can't even come back in the country or he'll get arrested.
Yeah.
So these guys, abusers protect abusers, man. They're not my friends. They're not my buddies.
So you're redefining what it is to be tough through vulnerability.
You got to be powerless. And it makes you stronger. Hey, man, the universe gives you the power, man, when you let go. It's not holding on. You know what I mean? When you get to the end of the workout is when you start getting strong. That's it. When you're done and can't breathe, that's it. Now, okay, we got to give him more strength. We got to build his wind.
Yeah.
We got to make his muscles a little bigger. But if you only just lift light weights, you got to go, I'm done.
That's me. I'm exhausted.
The Soul Boom Podcast. Subscribe now on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever else you get your stupid podcasts.